All right. Now, golf addicts, it's time to get to the 8K range for the John Deere Classic 2022. It is a stacked range, if you ask me. Stacked, and I say that with quotations.
Stacked range.
Stacked is very loose term here in the 8K range. Starting with our boy Scott Stallings, Patrick Rogers, Nick Hardy, Adam Long. Can you just say the next name? Thank you.
Brendan Todd.
Cameron Davis, Lucas Glover, Lonto Griffin, CT Pan, Cam Champ, and our buddy JT Postman posting.
Star-studded when you get CT Pan in there in the 8K range.
God dang it, dude. Brendan Todd. Oh.
Are you going to be tempted to go back to Brendan Todd again this week?
I thought about it. I've actually wrestled and toiled with it a lot today while I've been making TikToks.
I really was glad I wasn't on the show with you when you went all in on Brendan Todd.
Why? Because you would have done the same thing, or you?
Because I probably would have done the same thing, and it would have been two of us.
Oh, it's so bad. Oh, it's so.
I ended up with none of them. I had none of them. No bets, no DK, nothing. I mean, so I was happy.
Him and Burns were probably like two of my highest owned guys last week. So that's again why I had a free weekend in terms of DFS. I don't know, man. I mean, Todd fits the profile for this freaking
absolutely
golfer, but he also doesn't. He's not played here very well for a guy who does fit the profile. I mean, aside from a 18th place finish in 2019, it's been very bad for Brendan Todd. So I don't know, man. I'm not super tempted right now because I like a lot of other names here in this range. I think the chalk in this range is probably going to be JT Poston at 8,000 because he's a guy that a lot of people like, not just us, but he's a guy a lot of people like. He's a PGA Tour winner, and he just, if you look back at his PGA Tour career, he's got plenty of missed cuts, as we know, right? He's been on he's missed a lot of cuts this year, but then when he makes cuts, his upside is quite nice. We saw it obviously this past week at the Travelers. We saw it at the Wells Fargo. We saw it at the RBC Heritage. Those are three courses that really suit JT Poston: TPC Potomac at Avenel Farm, Harbor Town, TPC River Highlands. Like when he gets to courses that suit him, like the Wyndham where he won, it tends to not matter if his form before that was like all that terrible. So I think a lot of people are going to play JT at 8K. I mean, I think you could make the argument that JT belongs in the 9K range, with this field.
I think you could. Yeah.
It feels like a really good value. Now, I do think that that's chalk that I may go ahead and munch down on a little bit and go ahead and take it, which you can totally do. But I think Poston's going to be popular, and I think Patrick Rogers is going to be popular. I think those are the two popular plays in this range, and I like both of them. I mean, Rogers gives you a great combination of distance that he can utilize on this golf course, and he's a tremendous putter. One of my favorite things to look at this week, and I talked about it on the course breakdown video, is the rolling report on Fantasy National, just looking at putting. This tends to turn into a putting contest because the greens and regulation number percentages here are I think it's like the 5th highest or 6th highest on the PGA Tour since 2015 on average. So there's going to be guys hitting a ton of greens. Okay. Then it's going to boil down to who's making putts. And when you look at the rolling report on Fantasy National, it shows you long-term and short-term and the trend. And Patrick Rogers is a guy that just has always putted it very, very well. He's putting it very, very well right now. And he's just solid. And that's another reason Brendan Todd's attractive, is because of the flat stick. So I think those two are going to be popular. I think I'd roll with either one of them in a cash lineup, or maybe both in cash lineups. I'm trying to decide, though, with all these popular names in here, because Nick Hardy's a hot name right now. I'm trying to decide where the ownership will miss out, or is it, you think it's just going to kind of be spread out in here?
I think it's going to be a little spread out in here. I think if there's somebody who's going to be probably pretty low owned, it's going to be Cam Champ at the bottom there at 8,000. I think he's going to be super low owned,
and I'll avoid him. I will say,
yeah, he's missed how many cuts in a row has he missed? I don't know.
Yeah, and this is not a course for him.
Yeah, so I think
here, honestly,
yeah, I think he'll get avoided a little bit. I could see Lonto getting avoided some, but he's going to check a lot of boxes, and I would love to get a low-end Lonto.
So you're all of a sudden a Lonto guy.
I'm back on a Lonto. I'm back on.
Because you typically...
It's the John Deere Classic. I mean, I can't I got to keep an open mind, DB.
I
That's
love
what you got to do this week. You got to keep a little bit of an open mind.
I love it.
If you've hated somebody forever, maybe this is the week to take them. Um, I like Stallings up top. I mean, Stallings has been playing well in kind of like weaker field type events. He played well last week, so I think the price is maybe a little high. But
Yeah.
I like Stallings, and he checks a lot of boxes, especially ball striking and approach. He's number 2 in the field in approach, 7th in ball striking. He's top 10 in opportunities gained. We know this is going to be a birdie fest this week,
Yeah.
so I like him. I mean, there literally almost everybody in this range. This is why this is kind of a hot range. I mean, even Nick Hardy and Adam Long,
I
both
was
of
gonna
them.
say, I can't believe you haven't said Adam Long yet.
Yeah, I've been on Adam Long for a while now. I
I mean,
mean,
yeah, speaking of good putters, I mean, Adam Long, both of those guys really. Nick Hardy's a really good putter. Who was it? Somebody we know, one of the caddies we know, I don't remember who it was, last week or the week before. Maybe it was at the US Open or the RBC. It was one of those, played in Nick Hardy's group, and he was like, "Dude, all I know is that kid can freaking roll the rock. He is a tremendous putter." And that showed out on the Corn Ferry Tour as well. I went back and looked at his Corn Ferry Tour numbers. Very good putter as well over there. Like, so I think in this 8K range, there's enough good names here. You're certainly welcome to eat a couple of chalkier names, depending on the rest of your lineup, because and who even knows? Like, there's probably not even going to be a lot of chalk this week, right? There's not going to be a whole lot of 20%, 20+% guys. There's not anybody in this field who's like that much better than everybody else, or anybody in this field that's like just a tremendous value that you can't overlook. Like we had Sung Jae at the US Open at like 7,400 or whatever it was. Like everyone wanted to play because it just felt like such a value. But it might be JT Poston at 8K, but it's still JT Poston. Like I don't think, I just feel like it may lead to ownership being very spread out throughout the whole slate. So you may just be able to kind of play who you want. But
I
I think
almost think that you don't even when you're like kind of strategizing your lineup, you just put together your 6 guys that you really like and just see how the ownership falls out. Like, don't try to pay too much attention to ownership projections, all that kind of stuff. Just go with your 6 guys and just see what happens. Because I do think it's going to, like you said, I think it's going to be a little more spread out than normal. I just don't see with, this type of field where anybody's just going to like take all the ownership, and even if you do have a chalky guy, you're gonna have in this field, you're gonna have 2 or 3 other guys, at least 2 other guys who are not chalky at all and give you some leverage. It's gonna happen.
so. Give me two guys right now in the 8K range. Your two favorite plays. You got to pick two. You can't play the rest of them. You're only going to play these two.
Okay, my 2 favorite here are gonna be I'd say Adam Long and I was and JT Poston. Those are my 2 guys.
Long is tempting too. I think it's yeah, I was looking at Long. I think it might be for tournament play. I could see either playing Poston or Rogers, either one based on the rest of my lineup. Pick one and then probably go Lonto. But I
Yeah.
also like Adam Long a lot too. It's a tough range. Listen, speaking of making lineups, you gotta make sure you stick around for the 6K because we're doing something wild and different. That's right. It's the John Deere. Why not try something weird? You know what I mean?
We're 2 wild and crazy guys.